Animated sun rises in yellow sky over Orange Mountain Range to reveal a blue duck and fish over water resolving into U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service logo.
Speakers in order are Ricky Campbell, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Daniel Green, Weyerhaeuser Company, Angeline Rogers, Hal Jones, Amy Carson, and Dan Schwartz, all with the Fish and Wildlife Service.
So what we're seeing here today, the guys that are putting the marks and the tags on the Yazoo Darters here, is a combination of a long road process of where the hatchery began from its original intent in 1902 to where we are now. The hatchery in its first beginnings was built here primarily just to support game fish restoration activities in the state of Mississippi and other contiguous states. We continued pretty much into the game fish program with the hatchery up until the 1980s. And at that point, we started doing some transition work into the restoration and recovery of threatened endangered species and also species of concern, such as the Yazoo Darter. Our work with it is to try to restore the species to its historical ranges and historical numbers and preclude listing under the Endangered Species Act. What the guys are doing here now is tagging fish that was part of our propagation effort to grow fish out to augment a stream population or start a new population in a new stream. Another role the hatchery serves here also is we've got a Fish and Wildlife Conservation Office here with Lower Mississippi River FWCO, and they go out and work with partners, bringing state agencies, NGOs, and put everybody on the same table and look at the threats that cause the species to decline in the first place. And the Yazoo Darter, one of the biggest perceived threats was habitat fragmentation.
These types of streamside management zones are sort of the backbone of our ability to manage wildlife. We're just proud to partner with everybody in the release of the Yazoo Darter.
So we do have an incredible biodiversity here in the Southeast region, and we also have some extremely large urban areas that are growing and lots of threats to those species and the habitat diversity that they depend upon. Within the Fish and Wildlife Service's Fish and Aquatic Conservation Program, we have multiple types of offices. We have national fish hatcheries, we have Fish and Wildlife Conservation offices, we have a Fish Health Center, a Fish Technology Center. And so in trying to best leverage the capacity of these different facilities, we have co-located the Lower Mississippi River Fish and Wildlife Conservation Office with the private John Allen National Fish Hatchery in Tupelo, Mississippi. And one of the reasons for doing that is because the hatchery has got the capacity to work with T&E species, to work on propagation techniques. They also are the home for the Southeast Habitat Restoration Team, which has been doing work across our region and even across the country to make really big changes to habitat and improvements for various species. The structure behind me is certainly one of their projects where they were able to replace a failing structure and open this beautiful creek here, Smith Creek, to allow connectivity for the Yazoo Darter, which is a rare species that's endemic to this part of the state of Mississippi, to northern Mississippi.
Another arm or another tool that the hatchery has here, in addition to the FWCO being located here, is an aquatic habitat restoration team, which goes all over the Southeast United States, and it also on a nationwide scale works outside the region and do stream restoration, river restoration, removing dams and barriers, and the team is based out of the hatchery here at Tupelo.
We're involved in all the aspects, whether it's monitoring, catching the brood stock, the spawning, the reintroducing, and then my part, which is the barrier removal. Like you see, the bottomless culvert behind us. One of the main issues that we know we have with these streams in this area, these streams that are leading into the Yakima Drainage District, is barriers to the fish or the aquatic species. It's not allowing them to migrate up and down the streams. The Southeast Aquatic Restoration Team built the structure behind us here and removed the barrier. It was a perched culvert. Not only was it a barrier to the stream, and to the aquatic species, there was a safety issue there. The road was being occasionally overtopped, blowing sediment down the stream, very, very narrow. You barely could get a vehicle across it.
I have a strong background in actually sampling for Yazoo Darters and spent a significant portion of my career looking for these critters in this area. And so I had a wealth of information and access to a wealth of data that I was able to use to help identify areas where we had problems. And then we were able to form a team between our organization, the Ecological Services Office, and with the private John Allen Fish Hatchery, as well as with our local county engineers and county supervisors and DOT personnel to try to start addressing some of the concerns for the species throughout its range, particularly as they pertain to road crossings.
It's really amazing seeing all these different people coming together. It's really great, and it's basically a flagship project, especially in this area in Mississippi, where you can see this many groups of people coming together for one project that not only benefits one species, but benefits the whole fish community and also the landowners in the area. When we see some landowner losing land to the stream because of head cutting or bank erosion, we can actually develop projects with them using Fish and Wildlife Service dollars, National Fish Passage dollars, NRCS dollars, our partners program dollars, to try and benefit them by improving their banks so that they're not losing any more land to the stream, which also benefits the fish and everything that's living in the stream by not increasing the sediment load.
So we're hopeful that this approach to conservation can serve as a model for our agency and for our region by incorporating the Fish and Wildlife Conservation offices and the National Fish Hatcheries and certainly the Ecological Services and other programs within our agency to show that we are taking this collaborative approach to conservation and hopefully making a much larger impact for the benefit of our species.
Credits read, Project Partners, 15 are listed. Video production, Bruce Reed, Wildlife Mississippi. Additional footage, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, University of Georgia, Unique Places LLC, Wildlife Mississippi. Photos, Private John Allen National Fish Hatchery, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, biodiversitymapping.org. Music, Jason Shaw. Funding for this video was provided by Wildlife Mississippi.